Hello everybody, today's video is about what led me to getting a diagnosis of dyscalculia. Even though my mum teaches RTLB and myself knew that something wasn't quite right because I couldn't do New Zealand's NCEA Level 1 maths and my math skills were still at primary school level, I wasn't diagnosed with dyscalculia until I was 15 years old. I finally ended up getting a diagnosis of dyscalculia with moderate to severe challenges with maths and numbers and mild challenges with money and time. From my own experience and from hearing about other people's experience with dyscalculia, I feel like there's not a lot of information in general on how we are diagnosed with these neurodiversities. There's not much info on what the process looks like from what happens between thinking there's a possibility of having some type of neurodiversity to then going through the whole process of getting a diagnosis and having it confirmed. So I thought, why not make a video about my journey and how I found it to be an interesting process, and some of you might find it interesting as well. The person who diagnosed me with dyscalculia is a registered educational general psychologist, so I reached out to them and asked them some questions regarding what the process was in order to get a diagnosis. For privacy reasons, I won't be using their real name. Here are some slides featuring the questions because there's a lot of interesting information. I have put together a slide with the questions and answers on it, so I hope you find this easy to read and follow and that you learn something new. What made you think I might have dyscalculia? It was mentioned by your mum, your teachers, the RTLB, and yourself. I also understood the link between dyscalculia and other difficulties like dyspraxia and autism spectrum disorder (ASD), which are often found in people as well. Your academic strengths and weaknesses were similar to those for students with learning differences and neurodiversity. What made you think I might have dyscalculia? From your school, I learned how you hadn't made significant progress while at school and your specific maths difficulties with money, time, measurement, times tables and numbers were additional proof. How can you recognize dyscalculia? There is a difference between students who make poor, lower and slower progress with the classroom maths and those other students who make very little progress at all with maths. They are usually the ones who have dyscalculia. What type of assessment test did you use to diagnose me? The Dyscalculia Formal Checklist UK Classroom, which is a checklist for identifying pupils with specific learning difficulties in maths, including dyscalculia. I use the checklist screener because its focus is broader than just classroom and school maths and numbers. It helped me recognize dyscalculia was related to other learning differences within students. What type of assessment tests did you use to diagnose me? These two sections are from the Dyscalculia Formal Checklist UK Classroom. What type of assessment tests did you use to diagnose me? This section is from the Dyscalculia Formal Checklist UK Classroom. What type of assessment test did you use to diagnose me? These three sections are from the Dyscalculia Formal Checklist UK Classroom. What type of assessment test did you use to diagnose me? This is a section from the Dyscalculia Formal Checklist UK Classroom. What type of assessment test did you use to diagnose me? Your diagnosis from 10 years ago was a process of learning and collating and defining possibilities. There are now many online profilers, books and software apps for identification, assessment and diagnosis. In New Zealand, at the classroom and school level, there are still gaps for teachers. How do you tell people they have dyscalculia and what it means? I mention it as a possibility to teachers and parents. I talk about how it creates problems with learning maths and numbers at school, how it makes time, measurement and money difficult concepts to use and understand for adults. Dyscalculia research. Because of ongoing research, there is much better recognition and resources to help children, adolescents and adults. In the UK, Mary Colley and Dr. Amanda Kirby plus others have been very useful. Research on dyscalculia is now of course linked with neurodiversity and strength-based approaches. Is dyscalculia recognised? In the UK, dyscalculia is a legally recognised recognised workplace disability for tertiary study apprentices in particular jobs or roles, such as nurses or teachers. It's recognised and accepted you can still be a good teacher, nurse, or police officer, even if you have dyscalculia. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again. Bye!